Tennessee Republican Senator Bill Hagerty joins us now. Senator, thanks for being with us. I think there's a lot of Americans out there who would say, thank goodness somebody is looking at this. What's your bill going to do?
Well, my bill is aimed at fixing a massive problem that we've seen with the Biden administration and the IRS. They seem to have this overarching desire to get more of our personal information and hand it to the IRS, who have proven themselves to be untrustworthy, unreliable in terms of protecting Americans' private information. In the past Congress, I asked Secretary Yellen 3 times on the record, where's the accountability when the IRS actually leaked out private personal tax returns of basically their political opponents? Every time. No answer, no accountability. I think the American public is rightly very concerned. Here's what they're trying to do. They're trying to take a situation where before 200 commercial transactions and $20,000 worth of volume would be reported to the IRS. They're trying to lower that threshold to just $600 worth of transactions. I think probably the local lemonade stand falls under that. But if you think about it, a mom basically fronts the bill for 10 girls on a lacrosse team who are going on a trip to take care of the hotel room, and the other mothers Venmo her back the reimbursement. She's caught. You think about the couple that are moving from one house to the other, the couch doesn't fit, and they sell the couch for $650. They're caught. They're going to be filing all of this IRS paperwork, more cost to the consumer, more cost to taxpayers, and frankly, more vulnerability when you get down to the privacy of it.
Senator, I think you bring up a great point, because then that forces the agents to really dig in the weeds on this for small transactions. And Americans are saying, why are you focused on this per se? That doesn't seem to be where the problem is. And I'm wondering how this works in practice, because this administration wanted to staff the IRS with 87,000 extra agents. Is that going to walk all of that back? And are we going to see a change to that policy?
The Biden administration has consistently said they're targeting people who make $400,000 or above. This demonstrates that that is not true. They're looking for people with over $600 worth of Venmo and PayPal transactions. People are probably selling things that they're losing money on, but they're going to have to prove that to the IRS now. I think you can see from this that the IRS is coming after middle America. That's what this is all about. And the 83,000 agents, you've got to be kidding me. The IRS can't even demonstrate that they've held accountable the agents that they have so far in terms of the leak of personal information. This is so reckless, and I think it's something the American public really wants to resist. That's why I filed this legislation, and I'm going to continue to push through this Congress to make sure that we stop this.
Does the legislation have a chance of passing?
I think it does. I've had good bipartisan conversations with my colleagues here. I think they realize that when this is unleashed on the American public, it's going to be very, very bad for the Democrats, too. This administration doesn't seem to care, but some of my colleagues in the Senate realize they're here for a much longer time, and they don't want to unleash this on the American public. So I think that we will get there.
Speaking of some of your colleagues in the Senate, I want to ask you about Bernie Sanders. He's claiming Republicans want to cut Social Security and Medicare. Take a listen to this.
So the idea that under Trump, as you recall, we gave $1 trillion in tax breaks to the very rich and large corporations, and now Republicans are coming back and saying, oh, guess what? We're really worried about the deficit, the national debt. We want to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and other programs that are of vital importance, life and death importance to working families. I don't think they are going to get away with that. I think the American people say, no way.
Senator, it's not just Bernie Sanders saying this. You're hearing a lot of this right now. And I got to say, I think people are actually getting nervous. They're listening to these words, and they're wondering, are Republicans out to cut Social Security, Medicare? We've heard Kevin McCarthy say the answer is no. But tell us your view on what Republicans are trying to do and how people ought to be thinking about what's happening in D.C. right now with the debt ceiling negotiation.
Brian, I appreciate the question. Here's what's happening. The Democrats are trying to frighten the public because what they want is another blank check when it comes to the debt ceiling negotiations. That is what this is all about. You've heard Republicans say time and time again, we've got a spending problem in Washington. We need to look at ways to address that. We don't have to put the full faith and credit of the United States at risk. We don't have to put Social Security at risk to do that. There's a lot of spending that's going on here in Washington that's wasteful. There's much that's outdated. I think there are plenty of opportunities for us to work together with Democrats to try to fix that. But rather than do that, they're just going to resort to scare tactics and argue that they need, quote, a clean extension of the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling was put in place as a check and balance on spending here in Washington. And you've heard my colleagues in the House of Representatives say they want to see something done about that. I'm with them on that. But we have never said that we're going after Social Security, Medicare. What we've said is that we want to take a hard look at this and find responsible means of bringing our spending back into alignment with our our revenues. That's the focus here, and what you're seeing coming from Senator Sanders is the typical talking point scare tactic, because they're focused on having basically an unlimited spending spree by lifting the debt ceiling yet again without having any consequence.
Yeah, and the programs can't survive without some responsible reform. So, Senator, we really appreciate you clearing that up for our viewers, and we so appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good to be with you.